Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick little how-to on adjusting the suspension on your KRX and what settings I ended up on and the proper way to adjust them and measure them when you're doing it. First off, apologize for the wind. I can't really help that. I'm trying to stay kind of behind my shop a little bit so it's not too bad. But one of the things you see on all the forums and all the Facebook groups is, oh, the spring sag, the spring sag, the spring sag. And springs do sag, they do wear in. You have adjustment on your shocks for that. But most of what it is, guys, is people are putting way too much crap on these things. These springs are set up for, you know, a driver, a passenger, and a stock rig. I don't necessarily agree with it. The Kawasaki offers that I want it all package, which weighs a ton, but then doesn't offer a spring kit. That's the proper rate to keep it up, but it is what it is. If you guys have added a bunch of stuff to it, you probably need to start looking for aftermarket springs. But if you're relatively close to stock like I am, you should be good. All I've got the sport front bumper, a winch, windshield roof, back plastic window, the rear storage box, and the sliders. That's pretty much all the weight I've got. I've got just, you know, the bare necessity for tools. I don't carry a whole spare rig with me. And I've also got a sound bar. But with my springs adjusted, I'm sitting right around 14 inches, 14 and a half. I do run my pressure lower than what Kawasaki says. So that also is going to affect your clearance a little bit, because I think the stock setting's like 17 pounds in the rear tires and 12 in the front. I run 10 front and 11 rear, and that's been fine for me. But let me get to this real quick. So the first thing you'll want to do to adjust them properly is go to Brute Performance and buy the spanner wrenches for the shocks. This is the correct way to do it. You can do it with a big pair of vice grips, but choose your rings up, and you know, for 35 bucks it's worth having the correct tools. So the spanner with the single side is for the rear shock. Spanner with the double sides is for the front shock. So first thing you're going to want to do is, for the front, you're going to have to pull the shocks. It's not that bad. Pull the shock off, because you always want to adjust shocks either with zero weight on them or off the machine. But once you get the shock off, it's one bolt there. And then let me get under the hood and show you. There's another bolt right there. So just pull those two off, the shock comes right off. When you jack the machine up, just get the tire like maybe a half inch off the ground, just so your A-arm doesn't drop too far. But once you get the shock off, I wish I could have taken it off for you guys, but I really don't have the time. So first thing you're going to do is get a brass drifter punch. That's your locker ring on the very top. You're going to spin that way to get the pressure off of the main adjustment ring. Then you're going to take your shock tool, which is this, put on there, and turn down. I ran mine down to 22 1/4 inches, and don't say, you know, I counted 3 rings down or an inch down or whatever. When you check your shock, as soon as you take them off, before you do the lock ring or anything, measure the total spring length from that top lip of the spring to the bottom lip of the spring, right there. It's super easy. That's the only way you guys are going to do it and get consistent measurements and, you know, accurate results with your adjustments. If you say, oh well, I went down 3 rings or an inch from the top, or you can do that, but the correct way to do it is go total spring length, which is from the top of this one to the bottom of this one. Like I said, I went to 22 1/4, so all you do is put your wrench on there, spin it down until you get to 22 1/4 total length. Then the other thing you got to worry about, since we have a true dual rate setup, is the crossover ring. This is kind of the same principle as the top 2 rings. Just take your punch or drift, knock the top one loose, you know, standard thread, and then just adjust your bottom one down. So the setting's very critical here. You want 3 inches from the bottom of the lock ring, I'm trying to get my fat finger in there, is right there, to the top of the spring. That's your 3 inches. It says it in the manual, it's right around 3 inches. It's like 2.9 something. But you want that to be as accurate as possible. You see, I've pretty much adjusted mine to the max. I can't go down any farther with my crossover rings. And if you've got to adjust this more to get your rod height back, you need heavier springs. But and one other quick thing, a lot of people are saying, oh, my suspension's banging, my suspension's banging. Your suspension is banging. What's banging is this cup that rides in between the main spring and the lighter top spring contacts that crossover ring, and that thunk you hear when you hit a sizable bump is that contacting that, and it transfers all the force to the big spring. So it's not broke, nothing's wrong with it. So there's the front. And then the back's actually easier. All you got to do is get your tires off the ground. You don't have to remove it for this one. For mine, I went 27 3/4 total spring length, what we talked about, same adjustment procedure. Don't forget once you're done to knock the lock ring back in. And on the back, your crossover rings are 4 inches. I went a little past Kawasaki's max setting, but I still had the 4 inches from there to the top of my spring. Like I said, that setting's critical. If you don't get that right, it's going to ride funky and worse. So I try to keep that as serious as possible. But obviously, I can't go any farther with adjustments front or rear and keep my crossover length correct. So if mine's sagging anymore, I'm going to have to get aftermarket springs or take some of the crap off of it I've got on there. As far as compression, all the way clockwise is 0. That's your stiffest setting. All the way counterclockwise is 24, which is your softest setting. The stock setting is 18 clicks from full stiff. So the stock setting is all the way to 0 plus 18 clicks out. I've tried it softer, I've tried it stiffer, and we ride hard everywhere. We jump everything we can. We're idiots pretty much when we ride. So I've actually preferred the stock setting with my springs adjusted. It's been the best for me. And now back to the front. Your front knob is actually right there. The front one, same principle. All the way clockwise is 0, stiffest setting. All the way counterclockwise is 24, and you'll get a click in each one. The stock one's 12, and again, I tried them super soft, I tried them super stiff, and I ended up back at the stock setting. It works best for me. You guys that are serious rock crawlers that go really, really slow, or just looking for the best ride and don't worry about speed and handling, you can probably go all the way full soft and see how you like it. And you know, desert guys and guys that are hucking it off some pretty big jumps, you can check it out and try it full stiff and see if it helps you out. But that's all it is to adjusting them, guys. It's really not hard. Your manual explains it, but I know a lot of people like to see it, you know, in person. So hopefully this helps you guys. The one other thing I did to my suspension that has helped me out for the style of riding I do is I removed the front sway bar. I rode it for half a day hooked up, half a day not hooked up, and I preferred it not hooked up. It doesn't have too much body roll for me, and it just makes the front so much more compliant. So you guys can try that. If you do unbolt it and don't remove it, just make sure it's up out of the way good, because those A-arms travel a good bit. And if you kill yourself, don't blame me. It's just a suggestion. I'm just an idiot on the internet. But I did leave my back one hooked up. I would not want to ride it with the back one off. But something you guys can check around with and see how you like it, and go from there. Thanks.